It made me cry.
This One's Wife. The Isolation and Destruction of Harry. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The narcissist is a parasite. The narcissist selects a target that becomes the victim. I have explained through my many videos what the narcissist looks for and how the narcissist targets. You can also read my excellent book, Sitting Target, to understand more about what the narcissist goes for in terms of targeting people. Harry was a target and has become the victim of a narcissist. Now, whilst there are many of you who dislike Harry just as much as you dislike This One's Wife, for the purposes of the dynamic, he remains a victim of the narcissist. Yes, he has made certain decisions himself that has fed into his own downfall. That is undoubtedly the case. But for the purposes of understanding what has gone on, it remains that he has been ensnared by a narcissist. Owing to the way that the narcissist is created, the narcissist needs always come first, which means the pursuit of the prime aims of control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits are paramount. Fashioned with an absence of emotional empathy, a lack of conscience, a lack of guilt, inherently manipulative, driven by a sense of entitlement with no sense of accountability, all of this equips the narcissist to be the most effective at getting hold of people, using them, again and again and again and again and again and again, and perhaps continuing to use them until the Grim Reaper appears, or in other instances, casting them to one side, sucked dry, left an empty husk until such time as they recover, and then the narcissist may revisit. With Harry, he was ensnared, and the narcissist that is his wife essentially used a triple S approach: sex, support, and sympathy. Lashings a spicy poontang that gave the randy ginger bastard what he wanted, with the consequence that he was drawn in because, after all, she'll let you do anything you want. Support, with regard to making him believe that he was her king, supporting him by initially undertaking the royal role, supporting him with regard to his resentment and complaints, and sympathy for his supposed predicament of despair, sympathy for the fact that he lost his mum at a young age, sympathy for the various grumbles and groans and grimaces that Harry would engage in. The result of all of this was that Harry truly believed that he'd met his soulmate, that he'd found somebody that placed him on a pedestal and made him feel like the king that he would never be. Then came the devaluation. The sustained devaluation, which always occurs in the dynamic of the narcissist between narcissist and intimate partner primary source. Harry isn't gotten rid of. He still remains extremely useful. But here, his fuel has become stale. He's become more difficult to control, and with the consequence, he finds himself the recipient of repeated devaluing behaviours. But now, she, during that sustained devaluation, which has been peppered with respite periods, she has, as a need for her control over him, placed him in an aggregate position whereby his destruction is staring him in the face. Now remember, this one's wife is an unaware narcissist. This means that she hasn't sat down and thought to herself, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and find a British prince. I'm going to lure him in. I'm going to get married to him. I'll hang around for a while. Then I'll clear off. And then I'll isolate him from his friends and his family. And then I'll do this, and then I'll do that. And then basically I'll kick him to the curb. Whilst there are some narcissists that would plan in such a way, she is not one of them. Instead, her behaviours have been as a consequence of the need in the moment, which then overall place Harry in a very difficult position. This one's wife's need for control in each moment means that she has engaged in a range of different behaviours whose cumulative effect have isolated Harry and placed him in a position where he may be looking at his own destruction. First of all, as a consequence of nullifying the threat posed by the royal family, whether they were kicked out or whether they ran away, this one's wife withdrew physically, causing Harry to be removed physically from family and friends. Moving to Canada and then California, as I predicted many years ago that this would happen, this is where the two of them have ended up. Harry thought it was all a good idea. Harry thought, fantastic. She's painted this picture of a Californian idyll. Sounds much better than rainy old grey and dull Britain with all the hateful media and my horrible family, etc. And thus he followed her. And in so doing, he became physically removed from his support networks, meaning it became more difficult for them to provide him with the support that he needs. She has then indoctrinated him. We don't need them, Harry. They've never looked out for you, you know. They've always treated you as the spare. Your brother doesn't give a fig about you. We can go it alone. The States will love us. And thus she kept telling him that this is how it's going to be, the promised gain of a golden future in the Californian sunshine. She then isolated him further. Your family don't support you. William tried it on with me, you know. No, don't confront him about it. That'll only make things worse. Kate made me cry. She's a bitch. Your friends are racist. Why don't you write about all of this in Spare? It's your chance to get back at them. Talk about how horrible Camilla is. Talk about how you wanted to blow up your father from your helicopter. Put it out there, Harry. It's time for you to use your voice and speak your truth. You can embrace the celebrity lifestyle. You don't need to kowtow to them any longer. And thus, half-witted Harry was led along the garden path by the manipulative narcissist to engage in all of these things, whereby he systematically burnt his bridges and caused his family to essentially impose a no-contact regime with him and his wife. She then, having suitably isolated him both physically and in terms of communication and support, and indoctrinated him to believing this was a good idea, she began to sideline him. These are my friends, Harry, not yours. Spotify was a contract for the both of them. When that went wrong, she went to Lemonada on her own. Harry wasn't involved. She established American Riviera Orchard, and as ever, Harry just has a bit part in them for the purposes of filming her when she's making an announcement or appearing at a toast to celebrate her supposed brilliance. But they're her brands. They form the basis of her Instagram, her television programs. Invictus, she sought to take it over, attending, marching in front of the veterans, becoming the one that was speaking at the events. She's attended concerts to show the supposed fun side, and Harry gets dragged along as the support act. With Netflix, it started off as their deal, and it now appears, if the rumours are correct, that there is going to be a renewal, albeit on reduced terms. The contract's with her, not him. He's removed from the equation because, after all, she's the rock star. He's the failure. He messed up with his disclosures in Spare. His court cases have ended in disaster. He wasn't the dragon slayer, he was the dragon settler. His TV interview showed him whinging once again. Thus, as a consequence of the necessity of keep asserting control over Harry throughout the relationship, she has steadily, and as a collateral consequence of the pursuit of the prime aims, physically removed him, indoctrinated him, isolated him, and now sidelined him. Harry is isolated. Where does he go from here? Home? But then he would be away from his children to the extent that you accept that they exist. And he's also burnt his bridges with his family. He would have to go, tail between his legs, and his narcissistic trait of pride is strong. It's not something that he would want to contemplate. Perhaps he could stay and make a decent fist of it in California. But doing what? This is a man, through no fault of his own, has spent his entire life being told, put those trousers on, stand over there, talk to those people. Yes, we've wiped the royal bottom for you. You're gusset fresh. He has never learned to do anything. It's not that he's been de-skilled. He was never particularly skilled to begin with. As a consequence of being involved in the royal family, his job was to show up, say some words, shake hands, be a bit fun, and support charitable outgoings. He was steered. And as a consequence of that, he's not learned, for instance, how you pay a gas bill. He's not learned how to run a business. He hasn't got those life lessons. And therefore, how on earth could he turn to do something now when he hasn't got that ability? For all her faults, this one's wife has at least known how to hustle as a consequence of her narcissism. But with Harry, he hasn't got the skill set. She fails, we know that, but she at least keeps trying all these different things. What does Harry actually do? He does his charitable things, but they've blown up. Look at Centre Barley. What does he do with Better Up as the chimp, as the chief impact officer? Nothing. What has he actually started of his own? He attends Invictus, which was handed to him. He has still some involvement with charities, but that hasn't really worked as well as it once did. But he hasn't got anything else of his own. Might he turn to get some help in the United States? To who? Nacho? Nobody else is looking out for his interests. She still thinks that she can make it. She still thinks that she can make it and she can do so without him. She fails to recognise that he still remains the draw because he is genuine royalty, but she believes that she can do it without him and that she is now in the driving seat. Harry has found himself isolated with reduced options, and she thinks that she can do it alone with him tagging along, and if she does, then it'll all be down to her. She won't succeed because she's a charisma-free, talent-free, useless person. And eventually, as the money starts to dry up, that'll force her to disengage and seek an alternative route. But for Harry, he's very much in a cul-de-sac. Isolated, as I have explained, and ultimately, this could lead him to feel that he's got no options, nobody to turn to, no help to seek, an increased reliance upon drink and drugs, which could lead to an unfortunate spiral for the Prince of Pink Pancakes. What do you think, valuable viewers? Do you agree with my assessment of his isolation and that he potentially could be staring destruction in his face as a consequence of where he's been placed by this one's wife and the limited options that he's got? Or do you disagree? Do you think perhaps that he might return to the royal family, that he might leave, that he somehow might pluck some iron from the fire and turn things around? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.